She met me at the door with that familiar warmth, bare feet on the hardwood, hair pulled back, apron I never asked for, voice like home. "You're back," she said, wrapping me up. "I made pot roast. You must be starving." I dropped my bags and laughed into her shoulder. "You always act like I was gone a year." "Well, you were," she teased, kissing my cheek. 7 days is a year. We ate. She asked about Tulsa, nodded at the right spots, reached for my hand under the table like it belonged there. After dinner, she put on a movie and threw a blanket over us. I didn't question anything. I was exactly where I wanted to be. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have cut the night short and started counting seconds out loud. 2 days later, I told her I might be out again in a few weeks. She blinked, smiled, and there was a flash of something I'd never seen in her eyes when I mentioned leaving. Happy. Not, "I'll miss you, but I'll manage." Not relief that our bills were covered. Something else. It flickered and vanished. "You okay?" I asked, spoon clinking against my mug. "I'm great." She slid next to me. "I was thinking, if you're home this long, we should try that place on Maple. The one with the brick oven. Let's do it." We did everything for a week. Dinners, late walks by the river, Sunday morning pancakes. She laughed easier than ever. Every time I reached for my wallet, her hand was already on my shoulder. "I've got you," she'd say, and I'd let her. The next trip came fast. I packed the company laptop and a shirt that didn't wrinkle. In the driveway, she tucked a note into my palm like we were in high school. "Open it on the plane," she said. Motivation. I opened it before I hit security. "You're my man," it read, plus a heart that looked rushed. I texted her from the gate, a photo of the lame sandwich I didn't want. An hour passed, then 2. She replied after midnight. "Sorry, babe, fell asleep early. Call me in the morning." That wasn't our routine. Normally, she called first and didn't hang up until I reached the hotel. I called at 8. No answer. I tried again at 9. Nothing. At 11, she pinged. Phone was on silent. "I'm ridiculous." "You're fine." I wrote back, and I meant it. People miss alarms. People miss calls. That night, I sent her a picture from the job site, a metal frame that would be a loading bay. She replied the next morning. "Looks good. Can't wait to see you." 2 beats late again. I told myself people get busy. When I got home, she was a symphony. The house smelled like cinnamon. She had my shirt steamed. She laughed at my stories about the client who insisted on shaking hands after sneezing into his coat. She made a joke about me being indispensable to logistics, and we laughed harder than the joke deserved. 2 perfect days passed, and then she asked it, light as a question about weather. "When are you leaving again?" "Not for a while," I said. "Month, maybe more. We're in planning. I can work remote." She hesitated. "Not long, but long enough for a smart man to put something together." "You're not happy about that?" I tilted my head. "I thought you'd want me home." "I am happy." She smiled quickly, overshot the target, then dialed it down. "I'm thinking how to use all this time. We could finally repaint the living room. Or drive up the coast. We could also sit on the couch and do nothing." She bumped my shoulder. "Don't tempt me." We kept the pace, dinners, walks, groceries. I convinced myself the weirdness was in my head. Then, a Tuesday afternoon, I got a message from Emily. She's my wife's closest friend, been around since their community college days. Single, sharp, lives in a condo near the library. We talk in groups, birthdays, barbecues. We don't text. We need to meet. As soon as possible. I stared at the phone, the fluorescent lights of my office humming. I typed, "Everything okay?" "Yes." "Tomorrow? 2 p.m., Main Street Cafe. Please." I've learned to handle emergencies with a cool head. I answered, "I'll be there." I didn't tell my wife. Not because of secrets. Because I wanted no background noise in my head. Main Street was half full. People with laptops, an old couple splitting a muffin. Emily was at a corner table, both hands wrapped around a mug like she was trying to warm something colder than her fingers. She looked up as I approached and stood, then sat again like she couldn't trust her legs. "You all right?" I asked, setting my phone face down. She shook her head. "No, and you won't be either." "I'm sorry. Say it straight." "I'm trying." She looked at the window, then back at me. "This won't sound kind, but kind isn't working anymore. Plain language helps." She pulled out her phone, hesitated, put it down, picked it up again. I tapped the table. "Emily, breathe." Shoot. Your wife is seeing someone, she said. Not loud. No drama. A statement you'd use to identify a coat at the dry cleaner. I didn't move. You're sure? Yes. You saw her? No. I saw the planning. The bragging. She opened her phone. Screen brightness flashed. A group chat. Names I recognized. 2 from their girls' nights. 1 from the gym. Emily handed me the phone. Scroll. I scrolled. Lines. Too many. The tone was wrong, full of adrenaline jokes and little winks. My wife in the middle of it, offering play-by-plays like she was sharing recipes. The pattern was clear, even if I didn't want to admit it. Time windows, excuses, commentary on the thrill, the assumption that I wouldn't notice. She even tossed a line about me being a traveler, like that explained everything. How long? I asked. Months, Emily said. I kept hoping it would stop. I told her it was ugly. She laughed at me, told me I'm prudish. I'm not prudish. I just have standards. She took a breath. I liked you. As a person, you carry your load. You're decent. Watching you play house while I can't sit on it anymore. Why tell me now? Because she asked me to lie for her this weekend. She wanted me to cover, to say we were doing a spa day. Emily's mouth twitched like the word tasted wrong. I'm not covering. Not for that. You know what this does to my life. Yes. I also know what the last year looked like. Send me everything, I said. She nodded. I will. And what do you want in return? People always want something. She surprised me by smiling. Not mean. Sad. I want you to stop wasting yourself. Later, I might ask for one thing. Not money. Ask later. I will. She sipped and looked out the window. I'm sorry. Don't be. Thank you. I left the cafe like I was stepping off a curb I thought was higher than it was. The air didn't change. The street didn't tilt. But the map in my head redrew itself whether I liked it or not. I booked a lawyer on the drive back to the office. I don't posture. I don't plan speeches. I go to logistics. The attorney was my age, a calm guy named Harlan with a tidy desk. He listened. I showed him Emily's screenshots. He tapped a pen twice and said, "We'll do this clean. Don't confront now. Quietly collect. Hire an investigator. Take a fake trip. That seems theatrical. It's not. It's a schedule. People reveal themselves when they think they're safe. You'll want the timeline, the names, the dates. You'll want no gaps. Then you put your signature on the exit, not hers." I signed what he put in front of me. He gave me a card for a private investigator who looked like your neighbor and charged like a surgeon. I called from the parking lot. The man answered with, "Talk to me." I gave him the outline. He gave me the terms. I agreed. That night I came home with takeout and a steady face. After dinner I said, casual, "I've got a last-minute thing in Denver next week. 5 days." Her fork paused midair. It was half a second. If you blinked you'd miss it. Already? Well, she swallowed. That's frustrating. But we'll make the weekend count. We will. She put her hand on mine. I'll miss you. I'll call, I said. The next morning I packed a bag, kissed her on the forehead, and drove to a motel on the other side of town. Small place near a tire shop. Loud ice machine. Perfect for being invisible. I texted her photos from airports online. Flight delayed. Of course. She wrote back crying face emojis and a heart, which was efficient. I met the investigator in a diner where everyone minds their own pancakes. I gave him the schedule, the address, my wife's car making plates. He gave me a plan and a discount for paying in full. Professional romance at its finest. There's a thing that happens when you stop filling silence with hope. You hear everything clearly. 3 nights in the motel, I turned my ringer off and met the guys at Jack's garage. Jack runs a body shop behind an old grocery. We drink there because it smells like rubber and honesty. You look like you fired someone, Leon said. He runs a small gym and thinks in reps. I might, I answered. Mike, a contractor with drywall dust in his hair, tossed me a bottle of root beer like I was 12. What's going on? I told them. Not the drama. The facts. Emily, the screenshots, the lawyer, the fake trip. Mike scratched his cheek. Man, I used to envy you. Thought you had the blueprint. Blueprint was on a napkin, I said. Leon shook his head. People get drunk on attention. The hangover is brutal. Jack didn't talk. Jack never talks. He handed me a shop rag for no reason, like that solved things. It helped anyway. You need anything? Leon asked. I'm good. I took a sip. You'll probably hear noise when this goes public. Keep your opinions to yourselves. I always do, Mike said, which was the funniest thing said all night. Back at the motel, I texted Emily. I kept it plain. Heard anything? She replied, she's happy. That's all I'll say. Are you okay? I'm working. She doesn't deserve you. Not relevant right now. On day 5, the investigator sent me a neat folder in an email, photos of my wife's car parked where it shouldn't be at hours that don't make sense, a man's face next to her at our porch, a name attached to a license plate, a timeline that could be read from left to right without confusion. Dates, times, door opens, door closes, lights, patterns. No commentary. I don't like commentary. I forwarded everything to Harlan. He replied within an hour. Documents will be ready in 2 days. Don't tip your hand until you have everything. Understood. I drove home the next morning without warning. I didn't want to time this. I wanted to stand where I paid the mortgage and breathe like I owned the oxygen. She was on the couch with a magazine. She looked up and did that little startled thing like I'd interrupted a reflex. Then she smiled. You're early. Flights were smooth, I said. I set my keys in the bowl and scanned the room. There was a shape to the cushions like someone had been there. Maybe that was my imagination. A glass on the table with a fingerprint that wasn't mine. Maybe that was me being sharp. Doesn't matter. Truth doesn't need props. How was Denver? She asked. Predictable, I said. Client was late. I had coffee. We shook hands. I came home. She lowered her feet to the rug and tried to hide the way she adjusted her hair. I was going to make chicken tonight. I'm not hungry. Are you okay? Let's do this clean, I told her, and my voice sounded like someone closing a file. Do what? I sat in the chair across from her and took out my phone. I'm going to walk you through a why. Then we're going to go to logistics. Ready? She didn't move. You're being intense. I have a lot of material. I opened the email from the investigator and held the screen where she could see it without coming closer. Date, time, location, repeat, repeat again. Her face changed shape. That's the best way to put it. The brightness went, the calculation arrived. She stopped blinking, then blinked too much, then stopped again, like her brain was cycling through programs and none were loading fast enough. You hired someone? She asked. I hired accuracy. That's creepy. No, that's me being done guessing. She stood up, sat down, stood up again. I can explain. Don't, I said. I already tested your emergency exits. You don't need them. We both know what this says. You don't know anything, she tried, but her voice didn't have any air in it. I didn't raise mine. I know names. I know habits. I know the afternoon you told Emily you were going for facials, and you didn't. I know the day you texted the group chat about the rush, like you were ordering dessert. I have the screenshots. If you need me to read them out loud, I can. She went quiet. Her face relaxed in a way that looked incorrect on a human being. She sat back and folded one ankle over the other like we were in a hotel lobby. So what? She said, and there it was. The mask on the table. So you can pack, I replied. You have an hour. Or what? Or I'll do it for you. That's not legal, she said automatically. You're not a lawyer. You wouldn't do that to me. Watch me. There was a long pause. Then she smiled, not sweet, not sorry. Cold like an empty fridge. You really thought someone like me could love someone like you? I didn't answer. I'm not obligated to feed anyone lines. 6 years, I said finally. Why? She shrugged. Because you pay for a pretty life. Because you were out enough to keep it simple. You made it easy. She tightened her ponytail. You're not the only one who likes options. Good, I said. Then you'll love the one I made for you. I stood and pointed at the closet. Top shelf. There's a blue duffel. Fill it with what you can carry. Everything else we'll inventory later. She laughed. You're being ridiculous. You have 58 minutes. You don't get to do this. I already am. She stared at me like a student trying to decide if the teacher is bluffing. Then she muttered something under her breath and went to the closet. Hanger squeaked. She came back with the duffel and started tossing clothes like she was at a clearance bin. I'll be back, she said, not looking at me. This is my home too. Not for long. You can't stop me. You'll find out, I said. I texted Harlan. Initiated. Lock's changing today. He replied. Good. Bank next. While she packed, I called the locksmith. How fast can you be at my address? He said an hour. I said 30 minutes and added a tip. I logged into the bank, made the necessary separations. Separate account. New passwords. Cards paused, then resumed with my name only. No speeches. Just clicks. She zipped the duffel and stood in the doorway with an expression I'd never seen on her. Calculation chewed into something like pride. You'll crawl back, she said. You're not built to be alone. I'm built to be respected, I replied. She scoffed. Same thing. Not even close. She opened the door. See you soon. No, you won't, I said, and shut it behind her. The click of the latch was the only ceremony I needed. The locksmith came and did his job while I answered a couple emails from work. He was chatty. Break up, he asked. I get a lot of these. Logistics, I said. After he left, I blocked her on everything. Not as a tantrum, as maintenance. Then I sat at the kitchen table, looked at the empty chair across from me, and deleted our dinner calendar from the big whiteboard by the fridge. That helped more than I expected. 2 days later, the paperwork was ready. Harlan's assistant handed me a folder with tabs. I signed where she stuck flags. It felt like renewing a license. She tried me from unknown numbers. Voicemails with nothing for 10 seconds, then a soft cough. I didn't return any. 10 days out, the tone changed. Short messages through mutuals. She wants to talk. She says it's a misunderstanding. She says she's scared. Emily texted. She's spiraling. I'm not a counselor, I wrote back. I know. 2 weeks out, my wife tried a new angle. She called from her sister's phone and left a message with an old tone I recognized from early years. Sweet, apologetic, the voice someone uses when they knock over a glass and wipe it up quick. Hey, I get it. I made mistakes. We can fix it. I'll come by tonight with dinner. We'll talk. Please. I didn't answer. I took a picture of my front door with the new lock and sent it to Harlan to file. That night, I ate a sandwich and watched a basketball game alone. It was quieter than I was used to. Quieter isn't bad. The next morning, there were flowers on the porch, a ribbon tied too tight. No note. I moved them aside, not in anger. I put them near the trash can and went to work. At work, I made my second initiative on foreign territory. I sat with my team in the break room. I don't usually bring personal life into work, but rumors travel faster than facts. Quick note, I said, standing with a coffee. Everyone knows I brew too strong. You'll hear noise about my home situation. Here's the version you need. I'm fine. I'm not discussing details. Projects stay on schedule. If anyone calls here asking for me, and it's not a client, you transfer to my voicemail, and I'll handle it. That's all. Understood, said Bree, our project coordinator. She's 27 and externally unflappable. We've got your back. Good. I sat. No drama. Boundary set in front of witnesses. Done. On day 21, my wife tried charm turned up to 11. A text through a mutual friend's account. A photo of our favorite booth at the diner, 2 plates, my coffee cup, and her caption, waiting for you. Please. She knew I checked that place for clarity. She used it. I ignored it. I'm not a prop. When we finally spoke, it wasn't because I softened. It was because I was in my driveway unloading groceries, and she pulled up with her sister. 2 witnesses. Fine. I prefer witnesses. She got out, hands empty. Her sister stayed in the car, eyes on her phone. My wife looked tired, but makeup can fake sleep. She walked up to the edge of the driveway like it was a stage. Can we talk? She asked. We're talking, I replied, setting a bag on the hood. Not like this. This is how it is. She swallowed. I'm sorry. I lost myself. I was stupid. I took things for granted. You're a good man. I made a mistake. A mistake is dropping a glass. You threw the glass at the wall and wrote about the pattern. I answered. We're not doing this. We can fix it. No. I'm not a repair shop for people who like chaos. I miss you. You miss the life. She blinked back something that could pass for moisture under the right lighting. Let me in. We'll talk. Just an hour. Not happening. Please. You're looking for a pause in your free fall, I said. I'm not a mattress. Her jaw tightened. There she was again, the real one. You think you'll do better? I am better. I waved at the groceries. I sleep. I eat. I work. My calendar makes sense. My phone is quiet on purpose. That's better. She stared at me and then did the groan I'd heard once or twice when I didn't play along with her timing. You're impossible. No, I said. I'm consistent. I pointed to the street. You should go. She tried a final line. I'll be back. This won't stick. You'll want me. I held the bag up like a toast. You won't like the guest policy when you return, I said, turned my back, and carried the groceries inside. I didn't watch her leave. I didn't need to. 3 weeks later, the exit was stamped. No court scenes, no theatrics. Harlan sent a 2-line email. Finalized. You retain the property and accounts. She executed the agreement. I stared at that last sentence for a full minute. Then I exhaled like I hadn't in a year. A text arrived as I was loading this news into the part of my brain that handles future plans. It was Emily. Congrats on your freedom, she wrote. Remember you owe me one ask? I remember. I typed. What is it? A date. Tonight. It made me laugh, actual laughter with sound. Pick the place, I replied. No group chat. Never again, she wrote. I met her at a small bistro on the east side, the kind of place with paper menus and a chalkboard with 3 specials. She wore a denim jacket and no apology. We ate steak and split a salad because neither of us wanted to look like a rabbit. We didn't talk about my wife. We talked about the road trips we owed ourselves and the fact that the ocean fixes 90% of things if you stand near it long enough. Why me? I asked finally. You're substantial, she said, poking her fork at my plate like she might steal a piece. You don't perform. You move. I could work with that. You're asking for a lot, I deadpanned. I am, she said, smiling. You're worth it. I paid, not out of duty, but because I wanted to mark the moment. She didn't fight me for the check. She also didn't act like I owed her an explanation. That was new. We walked outside. The air smelled like rain, not that it mattered. She slid her hands into her pockets. You good? She asked. I'm better than good, I said. I'm me again. We didn't rush anything. We didn't build a story in our heads and force reality to fit it. We set one rule. If either of us starts using the other as a solution instead of a partner, we stop and reset. Adult terms. In the months after, I filled my own calendar with things that respected me back. I took the truck I'd been eyeing for a year. Nothing flashy, but mine outright. I finished the deck out back with Jack on a Saturday. Leon roped me into a charity 5K, and I wheezed my way through it, and then ate a burger without talking about macros. Mike and I built shelves in my garage, and he did all the precision cuts because I never measure right. My house grew quieter in a way that made the furniture look like it always belonged to me. I heard through someone's cousin that my ex moved into a small place near the Beltway. She changed jobs twice. The man she'd been entertaining wasn't as constant as he'd seemed in her group messages. Shocking. I didn't chase details. People who live on adrenaline always run out of road. Every once in a while the guy who used to think love meant absorbing impact, get asked if I'm angry. I'm not. Anger is stage time. I don't audition anymore. If there's a moral here, it's simple. Pay attention to the moment the smile doesn't match the words. When someone claps louder about your absence than your presence, don't ask for a speech. Change the schedule. Separate the accounts. Pack the silence with action. Respect isn't a discussion. It's a policy. The night I got Emily's first message, I thought it would tear the house down. Turns out all it did was turn on the lights. And when you can see, you move better. We still sit at that diner sometimes. The same corner booth my ex used for her performance once. We order coffee strong enough to polish metal and talk about the next trip we'll actually take, not the ones I pretend to take. Emily will tap her finger on the mug and ask me if I'm ready to get out of town for the weekend. I'll answer with a look that says yes without wearing the word out. I keep my rules taped inside a cabinet in the kitchen, not for drama, just to check myself. They're short. Don't wait for respect. Don't announce boundaries, enforce them. And when you see someone smiling at your suitcase more than your face, pack anyway, but put your name on the door before you go. The last time my ex contacted me, it was via a mutual who didn't know better. The message wasn't even a message. Just a forwarded photo of a sunset with a caption about time healing everything. It doesn't. Time doesn't fix disrespect. Decisions do. So here's the last thing I said to my ex, spoken months ago, the day she stood in the driveway and tried to turn the lies soft. You don't live here anymore. That was it. Not a metaphor, not a threat. A line. It holds. Emily and I got in the truck last weekend and drove south with no playlist and no grand plan. We stopped when the water appeared. We stood there and let the waves do their endless job. She bumped my shoulder. You don't say much, she said. I say what counts, I answered. Good, she replied. Keep it that way. That's the point. Not to win anything. To live in a place you can hear yourself and like the sound. To choose someone who doesn't clap when you leave. To keep your schedule and your name and your rules tight enough that nobody can scribble on them. I slept hard that night. Not because the house was full, because it was mine.